So this is the testing video for my NEA. I'm going to go through each test and then run the program so you can see that either it passes or it fails each test that we put through. So the first test is that user should be able to clearly identify which input they're changing. So in the simulation, for each variable you want to change the number of cars, if you click on that input, it draws a rectangle around the outside so you know which input you're changing. The second test is that the program should ask for the total number of cars to populate the simulation. So that's just here. Enter number of cars and then put in a number, and then this runs with that many cars in the simulation. So the next test is that if the input is not an integer, then it will have to be re-entered. But the way it validates them, it actually checks if they have to be an integer. So as far as this is concerned, you can't actually see this, but you can't input any other numbers other than a number. So you can't have like 5.2 or any letters. You can't have a string or anything. Okay, and the next bit is that if it's blank, if you leave one blank, so you can see by default, if we just restart, so you can see by default it's got all the default values in here. And if we set it to 10, and then I can take one digit off the end, if I set this to 0, it automatically goes straight to 5. So there's no way of having it not a value, if that makes sense. So you can't have 1, 2, 3, but if there's nothing there, it just goes automatically straight to 5. And this is the same for both total number of cars, all the inputs. If I press 0 there, look, it goes straight back to 20. The next part is that the program should ask for an input for the amount of time each light is green for. So that's what this is here. So if we set these all to 1, you can see quite clearly it'll only be green for 1 second, then it will loop through. And the same if we set this for 10 for each. Be able to tell they're all much longer, so this would be 10 seconds on green. There's actually a timer down here, so you can tell. Wait for this to go through, so 10 seconds and then it goes to yellow. And the input for those is for each set of lights. So we've got green left, which is here, green right, yellow, blue L, blue R. It's probably not very clear on here. This probably doesn't make much sense without looking at the documentation for which light this corresponds to. But it's the light that controls this route. So green L here, if that's to 2, it was just this light here because this controls this green left route. Okay, so the next one is that they should be reset to default after a simulation is run. So if we start, if we just put in some numbers here, just put those in, and then I'll run this. So that's running there. If I press escape, it'll leave the simulation and it will just reset them all back to what they were before. So press escape, bang, all back to what they were before. Okay, so the next test is that it'll save the runs into a text file with all the data there. And just to show you, we go into the images folder. So it's called simulation data, the text document. I've just emptied it, so it's just a blank document. I'll just leave this here. So if we run this, what does that do? I think I'll probably speed up this video so you can see that it completes the simulation, and then I'll come back to it in a second. Okay, so we can see from that all 20 of the original 20 cars have made it through in the time of 64.74 seconds, and that gives a total score of 3.24, because that's the total amount of cars, the time it's gone through divided by the total amount of cars. So if we go back to simulation data, you can see here it's written in the file all the details. So new simulation, total amount of cars, the amber time, the green time for each light, they're all 5. The longest queue, and it was on the route, green right, and then all the information there. So the next test is to test the buttons. So the review test buttons, you can see here we've got the shell here. Press review tests. It prints all the information in the text file. So it just basically, instead of the user having to open the text file, it does it automatically, prints it into the shell so they can see all the runs that they've put through. And then if we press clear tests, it will empty the text document. Just bring up the text document again so you can see. So we go simulation data, and it's empty, look. And you can see that. So the next tests are about the movement of the cars. So they should decelerate if they come towards a red light. So you see here, if we look on this route here, the cars will come up, they'll see the red light, and then they'll decelerate and stop there. Okay, and the next test is that they will accelerate once the light goes green. So we've just seen that they'll decelerate here. If we watch these cars here, look, it goes green, they accelerate away, and then get to maximum speed. We can also see that the cars don't get within a certain distance of the car in front, so when they're moving, some sort of distance, and then when it gets to this distance here, they stop completely, so they don't crash into each other. And that forms the queues. Basically, as you can see here, he comes and he stops there. Okay, and the final test is just to test the merging cars. So that's cars coming across this lane here. When they merge with a car going along this route here, these ones will stop, and they'll decelerate if they have to, and they'll accelerate when they should do to join this road here. So I'll just wait until we get that to happen. Okay, so we can see here this red car should slow down, look, to stop because this car's in the way, and then it'll accelerate away when it's safe to do so, and it merges with that road there.